Hello everyone, I'm Ankit and you're watching Study IQ IS English. In our today's video, we'll try to find out why are India-Bangladesh relations on a negative trajectory or why are they deteriorating, right? This is what we are going to cover in our today's video, and the notes which I will be using, in case if you want to download them, you can go to a particular Telegram channel which is called as ETS Live. And while you're at it, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel as well, because you'll be getting the notifications of any future video that we are going to put up. Now, why are we discussing the turmoil that is beset India's Bangladesh relationship? Because currently, Bangladesh is witnessing a lot of political tensions. Now, these political tensions have led to threats on Indian High Commission and Associate High Commissions, which are there across the country in Bangladesh. Now, New Delhi, the government of India particularly, is very concerned because in few months from now, Bangladesh will come under election, and because of this charged political atmosphere which happens every election, this is going to negatively impact the Bangladesh's relationship with India. So in this regard, let us first understand why despite having such a huge comfort levels with Bangladesh in the past 1 or 2 years particularly, why have our relations with Bangladesh deteriorated? This is what we are going to discuss. First, let us start our today's discussion with what happened in the month of August last year in 2024. Now, you need to understand, for the past 15 years, Sheikh Hasina and her party Awami League was in power, and she was considered to be the most trusted partner of India in the country of Bangladesh. Now, when Awami League was in power, they used to be very amenable to India's interest. For example, any counter-terror cooperation that India wanted to have with Bangladesh, they were very okay with it. Similarly, they also denied access to Bangladeshi soil to anti-Indian activities, right? So, this privilege and trust that India gained when Sheikh Hasina was in power in the last 15 years, all of this was lost when she was thrown off from her office of Prime Minister. And this regime change in Dhaka, first of all, negatively impacted India's interest. Understood? Now, what happened immediately when Sheikh Hasina escaped Bangladesh? She sought refuge in India, and as she had a very good relationship with Indian government acceded or accepted her request. Now, this move of India giving asylum to Sheikh Hasina, it triggered negative sentiment and strong resentment in the society of Dhaka, right? And this also reinforces a kind of a misconception that our neighboring countries have towards India. You need to understand, India in the region of South Asia is the largest economy and the largest military. So this kind of size of India, it intimidates our neighboring countries, particularly like Pakistan and Bangladesh, right? So this kind of a resentment that is already there in Bangladesh, and when India, on the face of it, when it interfered in their domestic matters, this gave a perception that India was biased in favor of one political party in Bangladesh. So this decision of India, it remained negatively, or it was taken negatively by the public of Bangladesh, and it also negatively impacted the relations that the present government of Bangladesh has with Indian government. You need to understand, after Sheikh Hasina was thrown out of power, the power went to an interim government which is led by a former Nobel laureate, Muhammad Yunus. Now, this is a temporary government. The word interim means temporary. So, this government, first of all, does not have electoral legitimacy. It does not have even strong institutional control of other factions in the Bangladeshi government, primarily the bureaucracy as well as military. And after all, this government does not have a long-term approach or a foreign policy outlook. So because of all this uncertainty in the politics of Bangladesh, we have resulted that India now ends up dealing with a fragmented and unpredictable neighbor. And the result of this is the kind of political goodwill we had generated in the elites of Bangladesh. All of this collapsed overnight when Sheikh Hasina was thrown out of power. Now we'll discuss what are the consequences of this interim government or the political instability in Bangladesh, which has negatively impacted India. You need to understand, as this multiple power factions are fighting over who gets to control what aspects of Bangladesh politics, this has resulted into rise of radical Islamist group in the society of Bangladesh. First is Jamaatul Mujahideen Bangladesh, and they are aided and supported by Hifazat-e-Islami and Jamaat-e-Islami. All of them are radical Islamist organizations who are aided and supported by Pakistani nationals, including their inter-services intelligence, ISI. Now, this presence of Pakistani state actors in the radical Islamism of Bangladesh has been a cause of concern for India. First of all, this reverses the kind of counter-terrorism gains we made in the time of Awami League was in power, and this also means that Bangladesh slowly by slowly is becoming permissive space, or it is providing a permissive space to give power or to give support to anti-Indian organization and anti-India activities, right? So this is what is happening in the society of Bangladesh. Now we need to understand, as it was alleged that India was involved in providing safe refuge to Sheikh Hasina, which India has denied, by the way. This has fueled public anger in the society of Bangladesh, and this has normalized, or the presence of Islamist organization when they are part and parcel of the Bangladeshi public now, this has given rise, or this has normalized the targeting of Indian diplomatic assets. So the attacks that you're seeing on Indian High Commission, on the Assistant High Commissions, or even media houses in Bangladesh who are perceived as pro-Indians, this shows you that anti-India rhetoric in the politics of Bangladesh has become a low-cost political mobilization tool. And why this low-cost political mobilization tool is necessary in Bangladesh in the end of 2025? Because in few months from now, Bangladesh will witness the holding of general elections. Now, first of all, you need to understand, when Awami League was thrown out of power, this was done by youth, or the rise of youth nationalism. And when Islamists became a part of this youth nationalism in Bangladesh, this shows Bangladesh's politics is witnessing a generational shift. Now, what is going to happen because of this generational shift, that the party which was not in power right now, that is Bangladesh Nationalist Party, might be able to form the government after the end of elections. So there are both positive and negative consequences to it. The positive consequences is that any party, if it forms a stable government in the Bangladesh politics, it would, at least in the name of it, restore the sense of formal diplomacy that they need to have with India. So this is a pro part of this elections. Now the counterpart, or the cons of this election, is that any political party, if it has to come into power in Bangladesh right now, they are more likely to use India as a political punching bag. Everything that is wrong that is happening in the society of Bangladesh, those political parties would make India the scapegoat of it, right? So the level of warmth, the level of comfort, the level of political certainty that India witnessed at the time Sheikh Hasina was in power, all of this has gone, right? All of this has gone. And we need to understand this, that if any elected government, if it were to come in the future of Bangladesh, India's relationship with Bangladesh would not be repaired to a level that it was at the time Awami League was in power. And amidst all of this, I told you, right, the government does not have a clear foreign policy outlook. And this lack of clear foreign policy outlook on the part of Bangladeshi government has given other countries like China and Pakistan an opportunity to recalibrate and mend their ties with Bangladesh. For example, Bangladesh recently participated in Pakistan's naval exercise. They have even maintained defense contacts and ammunition consignment agreement with Pakistani armed forces. China, on the other hand, it is offering soft loans, infrastructure investments, and not just this. China has also offered support for Teesta River projects, and it is coordinating on Brahmaputra basin water issues, right? Now, Brahmaputra, although it originates in the part of Tibet, it flows through India and eventually drains into Bay of Bengal before passing through Bangladesh. Earlier, whatever disagreement India had with Bangladesh on sharing of river waters, it was a bilateral dispute. But now, if China is helping Bangladesh with it, you need to understand this dispute has a potential to become a larger dispute by now invitation of three parties to it. Now, what this shows, that it is not a decision of Bangladesh to fully strategically pivot away from India or to realign away from India. Rather, this is showing erosion of what was India's centrality, or the centrality in the Bangladesh's foreign policy. India was the primary state actor through which Bangladesh interacted before. But now this has been changed, as Bangladesh is more and more trying to recalibrate towards Pakistan and China and away from India. Now, why this water issue is so sensitive? We'll discuss that, but first let us understand how military and security anxiety is happening in the mind of Indian policymakers. As I told you, Bangladesh conducted largest ever military exercise recently, and it gave way to Pakistan's inter-services public relations to give rhetoric that they have an ability to strike into India from its eastern borders. Now, whenever such statements are made, or whenever Bangladesh increases its interaction with the Pakistan armed forces, this gives India a headache, that in case of any hostile or unstable Eastern Front, this would add to the existing tensions that India's policymakers have. India for long has taken into account the two front threat it faces from Pakistan and from China. Now take into account if Bangladesh front also becomes disturbing. So India would now have to deal with three different adversaries. So this is not what India wants, and Bangladesh increasing its interaction with Pakistan gives this kind of a fear to Indian policymakers. Now let us discuss why water sharing disputes that has happened between India and Bangladesh. Earlier, as I told you, India had a very good relationship with Sheikh Hasina. So when Sheikh Hasina was in power, any kind of a dispute like these water sharing disputes were given less importance. They were thought that it will be solved. But now since Sheikh Hasina has gone out of power, the relationship has become tense. And this gives a way for these kind of water sharing disputes that have not been resolved to come out and become a forefront problem between the two countries. First of all, Teesta River Agreement for long has remained unsolved because of the unwillingness of the Indian state of West Bengal government. Similarly, Ganga Water Treaty, which was signed, it is expected to expire in 2026 itself, and Indian government still has not initiated any bilateral talks for this matter. Similarly, water dispute, as I told you, which was a bilateral issue between India and Bangladesh, has now become a trilateral issue with involvement of China as well. So this hydropolitics has the potential to harden and exacerbate the tensions that exist between India and Bangladesh currently. Not so much that. You need to understand, to counter all of this changes in Bangladesh politics in the past 1 year or so, Indian government and Indian foreign ministry has recalibrated its position. Earlier, India used to engage strategically with all the important political players in Bangladesh. But now, with the establishment of an interim or a temporary government, India is trying to manage the risk in a defensive manner. So in order to do that, what has India implied is that it has imposed curb on trade and visas. The issue of illegal immigration, which happens from Bangladesh, has happened for a long time now, has come out forefront because the elections of West Bengal are around the corner. Similarly, the discussions that used to happen on river treaties, now they are being stalled by both parties. So much so that the confidence building approach that was held continuously, now they have been reduced. So this shows that securitization of trade, it has eventually hurt the Bangladesh's already fragile economy. And when India is trying to push the illegal immigrations away from India, this push in diplomacy damages people-to-people trust that existed between India and Bangladesh before, and there is no strong-willed government in Bangladesh to repair and to ensure that Indian interests in Bangladesh are taken care of. Understood? Now, what is the core diagnosis of this deterioration? Let us summarize this. First of all, after the removal of Sheikh Hasina from the Prime Ministership of Bangladesh, we have witnessed that there is a regime uncertainty in Dhaka because in power right now is a temporary government. Now, this regime uncertainty has given way for domestic political atmosphere to be charged. First of all, there is a rise of Islamists in Bangladesh, and this Islamists are ensuring that Indian interests are not taken care of. Similarly, with elections around the corner, this domestic political atmosphere in Bangladesh will continue to be charged up for coming few months. Because of this political uncertainty in Bangladesh, it has given way for other countries like China and Pakistan to seek opportunity and mend their ties with Bangladesh. And why has India-Bangladesh relations deteriorated? Because the earlier issues that were looked after or that was taken care of by then stable government in Bangladesh, now these issues have come to forefront. And India, on the other hand, is trying to manage this risk in a defensive manner. It is not trying to engage strategically with each other party because of obvious reason. There is no one dominant faction in the current politics of Bangladesh. So what you need to understand, this is not an entire breakaway of the India-Bangladesh relationship. Rather, this is slow hardening of strategic drift. That is, they are moving away from each other, and this is hardening this distance that has been created because of the volatility that has happened in Bangladesh. Now, before we conclude, we need to understand what can India do to mend its relationship. First of all, it needs to engage each and everyone in Bangladesh strategically, and for that, people-centric and water-centric diplomacy must be taken care of at the earliest possible time. And for that, we can provide early engagement of water disputes, and we can also seek economic revival of Bangladesh's society, because if Bangladesh's society seeks economic revival, the illegal immigration that originates from Bangladesh into India would automatically reduce. Similarly, Indian policymakers should keep one thing in mind, that this post Hasina geopolitical grammar is not a temporary phenomenon. It is likely to remain for long period of time in Bangladesh, and we should recalibrate our strategic engagement with Bangladesh accordingly. We should mend our ties with the other political parties, and then only we can ensure that those political parties would not take help of Islamists, which eventually is bad for them and it is bad for us. Understand? So this is the ultimate reason or the complete analysis of why India-Bangladesh relationship have deteriorated in recent past. Now, before we solve a practice question that has appeared in UPSC exam, there are few important announcements that I need to make. You need to understand, right now we are at the last 10 days of the year, and in this time we usually have a New Year's resolution. For any aspirant, the New Year's resolution would look like that they would attend class regularly, make notes, practice mock test, start their answer writing. All of this is a very nice resolution to have, but you can make it a lot easier on you, so that you just don't have a resolution, you also are following it by taking admissions to Resolution Plus batches. In Resolution Plus batches, all of your New Year's resolution will be taken care of, and to sweeten the deal, we are also offering maximum discounts of 7,000 rupees on all the courses. You'll get these discounts if you use the code ATS Live before making the payment. These batches, if you don't know it already, they are available separately for 2027 and for 2028. Just use this code ATS Live and you learn to thrive in our Resolution Plus batches. Now, before we end our today's session, this is the practice question that appeared in 2017 with reference to River Teesta. Consider the following statements. Now, I understand we haven't discussed the River Teesta in detail, but I would expect you to solve this answer. What do you think is the right answer? Please give me in the comment section, and the ones who answer it correctly would give it a thumbs up from my side. And before we end, this is where you'd find the notes. If you have problems in locating the channel ATS Live, you can always scan this QR code and look for the same. So this is all from my side for today. Please have a very good weekend. Good night, and we will see each other again on Monday. Okay? Please have a very good night.